Good evening. The time is now 6:09, and we would like to start our Brooklyn Borough Board meeting for November 7th. We still have some unfinished business since we didn't have a quorum to end. Do we have a motion to adjourn our October 1st, 2024 Borough Board meeting? Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. So we are now adjourning our October 1st, 2024 meeting. And we will begin for our November 7th meeting with a welcome and roll call. Ms. Church, can you please give us the roll call for today?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And again, welcome to the November edition of the Brooklyn Borough Board meeting. I will start with the community boards. If you are not the regular principal, please give your name. Community Board 1, Ms. Barrows, I see you. Community Board 2. Community Board 3. Community Board 4. Thank you. Community Board 5. Community Board 6. Community Board 7. Community Board 8. Community Board 9. Community Board 10. Community Board 11. Community Board 12. Community Board 13. Thank you. Community Board 14. We got the spelling of your name, don't worry. We saw it. Community Board 15. Community Board 16. Okay. Thank you. She did? Okay. Community Board 17. Community Board 18. And council members. District 33, Wrestler. Thank you. 34, Gutierrez.
Present. Oh, hello.
35, Hudson. 36, Osei. Thank you, May. 37, Nurse. 38, Aviles. 39, Hanif. 40, Joseph. 41, Millie. Tamisha. 42, Lambert, Banks. 43, Zwang. 44, Yeager. 45, Louis. Lois. Yeah, she says Louis. Yeah. 46, Narcisse. 47, Brannon. Name? Yusanji. Okay, thank you. 48, Vernikov. Sasha. 50, Carr. And Bar President's Office, Lozado.
President Karina Lozada Smith for BP Reynoso.
Okay.
We have a quorum. Okay. Do we have an approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting? Thank you. Do we have a second? Are there any objections to the approval of tonight's agenda? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Do we have a motion for the approval of the minutes for the October 1st, 2024 Borough Board meeting? Thank you. Do we have a second? No second to approve the minutes? Thank you. Are there any objections to the approval of the October 1st, 2024 minutes? Sure.
For next month, I think everybody is fine, but can we also get the roll call in terms of what actually was your attendance?
For the next month. We do have the roll call. I don't know if you all remember. We had to do presentations first and then business because we didn't have a quorum. So we have the roll call on the second page of the minutes. It's towards the bottom. It happened at 7:02 p.m. Are there any corrections? Does anyone see? Sure. You're abstaining from the minutes because you weren't here. Okay, so one abstention. Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Any objections? Okay, one abstention. No, you're fine. Okay, so we're going to move to Borough Hall updates. Ms. Church, can you please give the updates?
Okay, on November 18th, we're going to be hosting, along with Attorney General Letitia James, an event for faith-based leaders to understand the process of selling, ground leasing, or mortgaging property belonging to faith-based organizations and houses of worship. The event will take place at First Baptist Church in Crown Heights, 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. If you're a faith leader or you know someone who is, you're encouraged to attend. On November 14th, we'll be hosting, along with the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, a discussion on youth financial empowerment, and that will take place at the Brooklyn Public Library from 4 to 6 p.m. And just a little fun news, just over a week ago, the borough president partnered with Welder Underground, which is an organization that teaches welding skills, to unveil the Rapping Max robot in Columbus Park. So if you walk by the park, there's this huge robot that was built by welder trainees, and it's an amazing piece of art. Stop by, take a look at Max. He's an 18-foot sculpture, and it's designed to celebrate the hip-hop culture. At the end of April, he's going to go to Paris and live there permanently, so make sure you check him out before April. And just another recap, on October 15th, the borough president presented a deed theft prevention workshop at Medgar Evers College. As you may know, lots of Brooklyn homeowners have been hard hit by deed theft in our communities. And so the workshop was all about providing information to help homeowners protect themselves. And that's it for our updates.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Church. We're going to move on.
We have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second. Okay. So the question was, what are the hours for the event for the 18th?
Right, that event will be held at 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And just a little housekeeping. If you have a question, please indicate and wait for the mic because we need to have it recorded. Thank you.
No, it's okay. I was supposed
okay.
to say that at the beginning, and I forgot. So again, so you all noticed that today's a public hearing, so it's very, very important that we wait for the mic because it will not take on the recording. So it might take some time to get it to you, but we want to make sure that these recordings are pristine because they serve as the minutes for these meetings. So we're going to move on to number 5, which is our general Borough Board members updates, and open it up to anyone who has any updates. Going once.
No updates?
Okay, so seeing none, we will move on to unfinished business. We had a motion that was made to request C.M. Williams' office to present on Intro 1065 of 2024, which is regarding the terms of employment for district managers. We did not have quorum for the motion to be tabled, so we are bringing it up to see if we want to renew this motion, bring it back to the table, have discussion, have a vote. I will leave it to Chairperson Camacho, who made the original motion, to see if he wants to renew it, or if someone else would like to.
Yes, I want to make the motion to have the individual here because I feel that every community is different in its own ways, and I want to know why is it if they have the power to appoint with the borough president and take away that, why are they creating to try to take away our district managers and scrutinize something that we are a city agency and we're a not-for-profit. So yes, I am. I'm putting it on the floor. We need to have her here. If she took it out the table, then by all means it's out the table. But other than that, we have to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's, because tomorrow, you know, we have new board members coming in, and tomorrow people might decide that they don't like what they have and it doesn't work their way, and try to get someone that's doing a good job in ours. I guess they have their own power, each board, to do what they have to do in regards to their district managers. So be it.
Thank you, Chairperson Camacho. Do we have a second? We have Chair Baptiste beat you to it, Chairperson Pena. So we have a second. Is there any discussion? I know we had some sort of a discussion last time, but if there's any discussion, we're happy to open it. Please wait for the microphone.
Do you know anything that we might be surprised or don't know or followed up in regards to this concern that we may have? I don't know, maybe some board chairs want to get rid of their managers, so I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm just saying, do you have any concern in regards to why they put this under the table and put this referendum up?
I'll take that. While I cannot answer that question, what I can say is that I have reached out to the office, probably preemptively, but I do have some news that the council member is willing to meet with the chairs. However, she's not able to make the time of our Borough Board meeting. So I am asking, would you be willing to meet with her, chairs, on a virtual call at some time in the future?
I want to see the person. I don't want virtual. I want to know what the person looked like, and I want to see what she's like, and I want to see her demeanor, and what is it she wants to do, and why is it she want to do it. So I think that I don't think that isn't there supposed to be a quorum in person to make sure that agenda is present before. I don't think in Zoom that's not the proper way of working. I think she should come here and visit us.
Thank you,
She's right over the
Chairperson.
bridge. Call Uber.
Chairperson Pena first, and then Chairperson Baptiste, and then Chairperson Mojica Diaz.
Thank you. I have 2 comments. One, from my understanding, this intro is, unless my information is outdated, is not well received by the council, so the likelihood that it would pass is slim. Second, when I did find out about this intro, which I believe it was shared by another board chairperson or district manager here, I was incredibly disturbed by it. I think it politicizes a position that is very different than other positions, and I really do feel like it can create scenarios where, you know, back when I had first started volunteering on my community board, there were a lot of political players who considered the board their political chess pieces and pawns, and I do not want us to see us move into that, return to that direction, considering this week's election. So I would welcome any meeting with the council member and their office to learn a little bit more about this legislation and to hear our concerns.
Thank you. Chairperson Baptiste.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Very similar to the comments made by my colleagues. I think part of the concern is we definitely need to get more information about that. I am hopeful that the council sees the wisdom in staying away from that. That is a control that should remain with community boards. But I did want to get a sense of what's the timing for this piece of legislation. Is it in committee at this time? Is it in subcommittee? Is, you know, what that time frame looks like?
I think it was introduced. It was just introduced, yeah.
Chairperson Mojica Diaz, and then Chairperson Weatherspoon.
So I just want to ditto what Camacho said. I think it should be in person. Virtual, you get muted, you get thrown off. All of a sudden, these technical problems happen. I need to inform, I shouldn't inform, I think others would agree with me, how hard it is to obviously hire DMs. It is ridiculous. Some DM spaces are open till a year, sometimes even 2 years, and to remove them out of their position, it's an outrage. And these are city employees. City employees, I've never heard of any city employee being removed from their position. Even higher up commissioners get transferred or choose to leave. So I agree with Camacho, it should be in person, and if it's not done during a borough hall meeting, I'm sure that everyone will be willing to balance their schedule. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairperson Witherspoon.
I sit in agreement with all of my colleagues here. I think that this is something very important that needs to be in person, for sure. I'm just very curious as to how this came about and what are the reasons that this would even be a topic. So in person is something that I think we should do this meeting. Thank you.
Chairperson Buserith.
Thanks. I think that everyone who's spoken, and the reason that the motion was made was that it causes deep concern from community boards. So I'm actually ambivalent about meeting with the council member, at all, because I feel like we already have a sentiment, and I think it might be more effective for us to just pass a resolution saying that we implore them not to even consider this bill. Coming from the Brooklyn Borough Board, as opposed to going through an exercise where we already know we have an opinion.
So we have a motion for a...
I didn't fully make the motion. I'm just saying, and I think that would be a more effective track.
Got it. So you don't want to put it on the table, you just want to suggest...
There's an existing motion, so I wouldn't move to make that.
Got it. Okay. So, since we have an existing motion on the table for the meeting, we're going to take a roll call vote and see where Borough Board lies with that. So, Community Board 1. Yes. Community Board 2. The motion is still the same motion to meet with Councilmember Williams. Community Board 3. Community Board 4. Community Board 5. Community Board 6. Community Board 7. Yes. Community Board 8. Community Board 9. Community Board 10. Thank you. Community Board 11. I'm sorry? Okay, couldn't hear. Community Board 12. Community Board 13. Community Board 14. Community Board 15. Thank you. Community Board 16. Community Board 17. Community Board 18. District 34. District 35. District 36. District 37.
Samori.
District 38. District 39. District 40. District 41. District 42. District 43. District 44. District 45. District 46. District 47. District 48. District 50. Thank you. The Borough President's Office will abstain on this matter. I'm sorry?
Sasha, that's Sasha. Sasha is. Got you. What district?
You said no, correct?
Miss Sasha, 48. She switched to no?
Yep.
So that's 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. 1. So I have, what you got, 13 yeses? 2 noes and 10 abstentions. I have 8 abstentions. Oh, I forgot to count us. Nine abstentions. 13, 2, 9. Because she changed her name to no. Oh,
Sorry, adding is so hard. So we have 13 yeses, 2 noes, and 9 abstentions, so the motion carries. We will be sure to reach out to the council member and let her know that we still would like to meet in person, even if that is not at a Borough Board meeting. And whatever information we have, we will send it to the Borough Board to see how we can schedule based on what the council member represents. Now we are going to, that's all for unfinished business. Go ahead, Chairperson Camacho.
Yes, I would like to thank all our chairs. As you see what's going on in the world of today and what's happening with, especially now more than ever, where we want to ask questions to someone that put a referendum to tailor into our district managers for the people that represent council to abstain when it's a no vote, those are your constituents. You vote those people in. And it's kind of disheartening to have council that's here with us to not have the decency to one of their own colleagues to come and give us an explanation of why they put this in a referendum and decide without letting us know. You know, we need to stop this tactic and picking and choosing, and communities are getting hurt, especially people in communities like ours that want to get answers and getting pushed around with circles. So we really need to see who we are and who we're supposed to be and who we are. So I just wanted to make that, and thank you for the board members that supported that, because we really need to know. I have a district manager that does her job, and I know some of you do that go on and beyond. To do this is a lack of disrespect to her and to the communities at large that they represent. So I think they deserve to answer us. I think they have a right to come here. And each person that represents them have a right to go back and tell them that every community in this district is upset because of this referendum, and stop the bully tactic and adding things in there. If things are not working, we know how to get rid of them, right? Easy. Council don't put them on. The borough president don't put them. And you put them on, you get your own chair. But to remove a district manager that we put and we voted in by 50 members, that's sad. Every 4 years. You think them kids gonna work the way they work now? Come on, be realistic. That's why we're in the situation we're in now. Because of this rhetoric. This is rhetoric and disrespectful. And I hope our borough president does come and support these boards, because it's kind of sad to see this. You may not have control of some of these district managers, but these chairs work and represent the community and the people at large and deserve respect.
Thank you, Chairperson Camacho. We're going to move on to communications and reports, which is entering into our public hearing. As you all know, we have a public hearing. We are going to ask the Borough Board members to save your comments after members of the public comment, because this is a public hearing. And we would ask that, again, you wait for the microphone for your comments, and comments are going to be limited to 2 minutes. I will put a timer. Once the timer goes off, you can finish your statement, but that will be it for the public hearing, because we also do have a presentation and we want to be mindful of the time. So we just want to thank Prospect Park Alliance for being here, and you can take the floor. We have, you can come up. Yeah. Jillian here, you can go ahead and take the mic, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Jillian Pagano, and I'm a landscape architect with the Prospect Park Alliance, and today we'll be discussing the redesign of 3rd Street Playground. It's north of Litchfield Villa, closest to the intersection of 3rd Street and Prospect Park West. Our funding for this playground is $3 million, allocated by Council District 39. The size of our playground is just under a ½ acre. Next, please. 4 primary goals to create a unique play destination within the park, to increase climbing, agility, and imaginative play in the playground, to incorporate accessibility into all new elements, and to enhance shade. Next. So again, we're located just north of Litchfield Villa, along Prospect Park West and 3rd Street Playground. Next. Historically, the playground was not a part of the 1874 Prospect Park plan created by Olmsted and Box. It was a kitchen garden by the Litchfield Villa originally. Next. The playground first took shape in 1941. It was designed by Amor Embry II and Gilmore Clark. In 1973, it was designed as an adventure playground by Richard Datner, and the last time it was touched, the way it currently still looks today, it was redesigned in 1994 by New York City Parks. Here's a couple photos of just how it would look today if you were to visit. We see some steel play equipment, a water feature in the background, and steel play equipment for younger children in the way back. We have existing tot swings with an inclusive swing bay and tire swings. Prior to the design of this playground, we did 2 tabling sessions inside the playground during busy weekend afternoon hours. We did 1 community input session virtually, and we also sent out an online survey to be completed over the course of a few months on our website. And what we learned is people overwhelmingly wanted to keep water features in the playground. We heard that people wanted a variety of challenging climbing elements. People wanted to keep a lot of imaginative and creative play in the playground, or for that to be developed in a different way than it currently exists. And people really like slides, so that was something they asked for during this time. Here we see our site plan. As it currently exists, the ages 2 to 5 play equipment is on the west side of the playground. Now you can see it embodied as a synthetic turf mound with a lot of climbing and sliding opportunities. On the right side, the east side of the playground, that will remain for children ages 5 to 12. That's composed mostly of steel playground equipment and 2 tire swings. The center of the playground is intended for ages 0 to 12, for this to be an intergenerational space. We have seating, we have shade, we have rustic playhouses, a lot of open space for running, for scooting, for playing games and gathering. And on the right side of this central space, we have a water course. And we'll look at this a little bit more in detail in the coming slides, but it's a mixture of jets and streams meant to mimic the Prospect Park water course. Next. So here's a rendering showing perhaps what the central space would look like if we were looking towards the rustic playhouses with a synthetic turf mound in the background. Next. Our water play feature, you'll see on the left, we'll start with a tall water bell. The water will run the course as shown with flagstone, which is the sort of the alternative colored, the beige that's running through the concrete pavement. There will be a sequence of ground, jets, and bubblers, and we'll have hydraulic manual activated bollards. Next. So here's what that might look like during the summer season. Next. And looking closer at the synthetic turf mound, this embodies a variety of challenges, including climbing, stepping, and sliding. We have 2 transfer stations that are meant for children with mobility devices to mount the mound, and 2 different slides, one 3 foot wide for a communal experience. Several children can use that simultaneously. At the left end, we'll have a 5 foot high slide. That's more typical in scale. Next. And here's a view of what that synthetic turf mound would look like from the south entrance. Next. The ages 5 to 12 play equipment will resemble what's shown. We have a fully inclusive steel ramp leading children into the center of this play structure. We have 2 larger towers presenting a lot of climbing challenge, a variety of climbing challenges, and 3 slides. Next. In the photo on the right, you can see the 3 slides a little bit better. One slide does have a transfer station meant for children with mobility devices. We have an 8 foot curvy slide and an 8 foot steel straight slide. And interconnected is a separate but roped climbing experience. So just a few different perspectives of this equipment. Next. For ground play, we have rustic playhouses, as mentioned earlier, and play panels integrated into new steel fencing, as pictured on the right. Our tire swings are pictured on the left. We're using a variety of standard New York City parks materials and that are standard to Prospect Park. What's new for this playground is the use of synthetic turf and the Unity safety surface tiles composed of recycled rubber crumb. We'll be using native plants that are resilient, that are drought and flood tolerant, in addition to being salt tolerant. And with that, I would like to open up the floor to any questions or comments, and I thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public who have any questions or comments that they would like to share? Members of the public first. Chairperson Camacho. Seeing none. Any Borough Board members who would like to ask any questions or concerns? Okay. Chairperson Camacho?
What was this presentation brought up to the board that is adjacent to?
We present to the Borough Board, which is a combination of the community boards.
But this wasn't brought up in Parks Committee with each community board
We
or wherever
have,
the park is adjacent to?
we've been through New York City Parks approval, and we'll move on to LPC with Borough Board approval.
That means no, you didn't get no input from the community that, or the people that, the community board that represent that park or that area.
We have an extensive public review process where we go towards the people. We ask them for community input via online surveys, through tabling sessions. We have not attended a community board meeting, no.
And I suggest that you should get on the committee and do a presentation, because they're the ones that are going to be impacted in regards to whatever goes on in that place. And maybe you can get some more input in maybe some of the kids that will want some of the things. Because when you do a survey, everybody gets in a survey. So what might be good for my community, you may not know. Or what might be bad for my community, me may not want. So if you get the input of the people that live adjacent to that area, then you can more or less sit down with some of the people that might not agree with it, because I know Borough Board approve it, but I think the community boards and some of the boards that's adjacent to this park should get an input or a say in it in the Parks Committee. And they should come in here and trying to write something off and then send it off and say that the Borough Board's approved, but we don't live in that area. So it doesn't affect us. So we want to make sure that the people that's there, we support what the community wants adjacent to that property.
Thank you, Chairperson Camacho. I have Chairperson Caesar, Chairperson Baptiste, and then Chairperson Pena.
So, good evening. Thank you very much for that. So, I have a few questions. They should be brief. The first is this proposed project on the Parks Capital Project Tracker?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And is it in the active or the proposed?
Proposed.
Okay, got you. And then the second question is, you mentioned it's funded by $3 million from City Council District 39.
Correct.
And so is that design plus construction or just construction?
That is design plus construction.
Okay, got it. So then my next question is, what is the target completion date?
Spring 2026.
And then my last question is, to your knowledge, is there any reason why this is being funded out of the Council District 39 as opposed to the capital budget for the Parks Department?
I would have to get back to you on that, and I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Chairperson Baptiste, and then Chairperson.
Thank you. First, I have a request for information for the chair. In terms of is there a vote scheduled for this evening on this item?
Yes.
Okay. Two, what boards specifically are voting on the item or expected to vote on this? Is this the adjacent boards?
Yes. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 14.
Okay. Which kind of makes me echo Chair Camacho's point, where the adjacent boards haven't heard the matter. So it's hard, and especially as representatives of those boards, it's hard for us to say we're going to vote on something that we just heard 5 minutes ago. I think that, in terms of, I guess, okay, to Prospect Park Alliance, first of all, if I can ask, what is the timing in terms of once this goes past Borough Board, it's scheduled to go before LPC when? Is there a date, or is it once it's actually completed this approval?
Once we have that approval.
All right, so is it possible for us to actually postpone the vote on this until we can get, because I think there's some additional questions and information, and we might need to actually have board approval. I think we might need to go back before our respective boards before we can actually vote on this.
I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Karina, who was next?
Sorry. Chairperson Pena.
First comment, point of clarification. Items that intersect multiple community boards go to the Brooklyn Borough Board for approval, not community boards. Is that correct?
They can.
Okay, because I know in past practices, when issues related to Prospect Park come up that we vote on, it's usually just the boards that intersect with the park and not, so like, I have not seen this presentation at CB7. Obviously, I love parks, and I'm totally comfortable making that decision and vote tonight as the chairperson, so thank you.
Yes, just to clarify, the charter does state that when it is a project that's related to multiple boards, it can come directly to Borough Board. In the past, we have made the requests for these presentations to be made to the individual boards first at the request of you all, because you have stated in the same way, you represent your board, you want your board to hear it, your board to vote on it, but it is permissible under New York City Charter law to just come directly to the Borough Board. And so we have requested for these things to be taken to the individual community boards as well as Borough Board, but as you see in this instance, it hasn't happened. We're happy to continue to make those requests, but we as Borough Hall cannot compel city agencies to make that presentation. We can just advocate with you all. So just for the clarification, based on this question, it is a provision in the city charter, but we do hear you all in stating that you're only representing your boards and you don't feel comfortable or cannot make a vote if your board hasn't heard it. So just for that clarification. Chairperson Baptiste.
Thank you for those clarifications. And I do have a couple of follow-up questions. With respect to, you said that there was some outreach done and there was some community planning done. Can you tell us where that happened and around what time frames
Yes, it was in, I can't remember the month specifically, but we tabled in the playground on 2 Saturdays during the morning and afternoon hours. So we brought tabling supplies. We had banners sort of printed out. Kids could put stickers on elements that they really liked about the playground and elements that they did not want to see in the playground. We gave them the opportunity to sketch their own park. We gave them an opportunity to tell us to draw their own parks. So it was interesting to really speak to the caregivers and the kids that show up on the weekends regularly about what they wanted the space to be like.
Okay, no, thank you very much for that. And I guess that goes again into my concerns in terms of, it seems that that's very, very localized and specific outreach. But in particular, but then on the back end, we're saying that the affected boards need to also weigh in on that as well. So it's kind of hard to say we're weighing in because we don't even know what our respective communities would have said about that project as well. That seems like that might be a gap in terms of what was really desired by a community, especially if we're considering a larger Brooklyn community as well. But thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any more? Ms. Brewer from CB16. First vice chair, right?
First vice
First
chair.
vice chair.
Margaret Brewer, Community Board 16. My question is more about your design. You had pointed out an area that's going to be outfitted with artificial turf. Is that absolutely necessary? Considering the artificial turf in my situation, in my community, has proven to be environmentally unfriendly, and it does not help with climate change.
I think synthetic turf has come a long ways, and New York City Parks has been very specific about the types that we are able to use. So the turf that we're specifying has a plant-based infill material to keep the crumb or to keep the infill sticking up. I understand there may not be the same drainage as if that were a naturally planted space, but it essentially acts the same way, drainage-wise, as having a rubber safety surfacing. So we do feel confident that it passes the park specifications for environmental health and the health impacting our communities. I hope that answers your question. And heat elevation?
Heat elevation, yeah.
You know, it's a lot brighter than asphalt. The coloration, I also believe they're making the synthetic turf not to absorb quite as much heat. The technology has come quite a ways. So that is something that I will definitely look into when we continue to specify this material.
Any other questions? Concerns? Other testimony? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Church, take it away.
Can we have a motion on this item for recommendation? Chair Peña, motion to approve. May we have a second?
Have a second.
I don't know.
What's your name?
Okay, I'll start with community boards. She should be. She's, Council District 33. Okay, on this.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
Chairperson Baptiste for discussion.
I'm sorry.
Restate the motion, but I do have a question.
Okay, open for discussion.
I have concerns about this. We've heard this, we just got this, like literally 15 minutes ago for watching the clock at this point. And there has been no chance for the chairs to check with our respective boards to see what the feeling is with that. At this time, I'd like to move to table this, so that way we can at least go back and hopefully get some additional information and confer with our respective boards.
Whoever made the first motion.
Okay, so Chairperson Peña, since you made the first motion and it's on the table, would you be willing to amend the motion? Or are you willing to table it? Or shall we take a roll call vote on the motion to approve and then entertain the motion to table?
Well, the motion to table takes precedent over the original motion, so that has to be handled before.
No, we already had a second for your motion, so it's on the table. And so for the discussion, Chairperson Baptiste is suggesting to table. So I'm asking you if you would like to amend your motion or not. Okay, so we're going to do a roll call vote for the motion that's on deck, and then depending on how that motion goes.
My motion to table actually takes precedence. So, well, it hasn't gotten a second yet, but should it get a second, that takes precedence, because that would actually delay us discussing that main motion, for the reasons that I had stated before.
Got it, okay. Sorry. I hear what you're saying now. Is there a second for the motion to table? And this again is for 6, 7, 8, 9, and 14. So is there a second from one of those boards to table?
Yeah.
Is that 8?
Spoon. Ms.
Okay. Thank you. It's really hard to see you. I don't know why, but I did see a hand. Okay, so we have a second for the motion to table. We're going to take a roll call vote for that. Forgive me, guys. It's been a week.
Okay. Okay, on the motion to table, moved and seconded. Community Board 6. Community Board 7. Community Board 8. Community Board 9. Community Board 14. Did I get them all? Council members. All council members are eligible to vote. Council District 33. Council District 34. Council District 35. Council District 36. Council District 37. That's a
This is
yes,
the motion
no?
to table, yeah. It's a motion to table?
Yes, okay. Council District 38. Council District 39. Council District 40. Council District 41. Okay. Council District 42. Council District 43. Council District 44. Council District 45. Council District 46. Council District 47.
Oh. Oh. Got it. She said yes for 46, it's 47.
Oh. So Sai is not here? No. Okay. Council District 48. Sasha. Council District 50. Borough President.
Abstain.
I have 6 abstentions. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6, 7. I have 7 yeses. I have 716. Doesn't carry.
So we have 7 yeses, 1 no, and 6 abstentions. So the motion does not carry.
It's a tie.
So we have a motion to approve still on the table. We're going to do a roll call vote for that one. Yes, so where the no and the abstentions create a tie, we don't have enough yeses to pass the vote. We still have a motion on the table. Is there further discussion? Chairperson Baptiste.
Okay. This is problematic because now we are asked to approve $3 million to go to a project that we heard 20 minutes ago, that none of our respective districts have actually even had an opportunity to converse with or even received a copy of a presentation. I think just fundamentally there's a problem with that, which is part of the reason why I think this is something that should be able to go back to a community so that way we really have the kind of conversation we have. I'm not sure what that affects at this time, but I think it needed to be put for the record where this is something that is unacceptable, and we should have a conversation further about these things should not be allowed to go further in terms of we should probably bifurcate this process where, yes, we can have a hearing first, but then we should actually have enough time for us to go back to our constituencies and actually let them know what we said and do a vote in the preceding month. But this is what's wrong. $3 million, we only heard this thing for the first time this evening 20 minutes ago.
Chairperson Camacho.
I echo what my brother says, but I want to reiterate and continue to let you guys know that as things are occurring in my neighborhood, and I don't get this presentation, and something happens there, the community board did not approve that. That was done on a side deal, and it shouldn't be. The stakeholders and the people that live adjacent to that park and that community board should be here voting on this because this is theirs. And I don't think that it feels bad that they want us to make a recommendation that we don't even know. I don't even know how that park is. I don't even know. I don't even know if houses are around it. I don't even know if people, and the people that do sign that thing may use the park, don't even live there. Because we have that in our parks. And they come in here and they push their agenda without coming to the community and letting know. And then when something happens there, guess what happens? The community board approved that. Give us the respect. That's why we ask it. Give each community board the respect. and let them go, and you do the presentation, let them come here and say, yes, I did go to the board, they did approve it, and then we can move it on. But to turn around and do this to us, that's another slap in the face. You see it? It's all right for council to vote, but it's not all right for the boards to vote. Does that make any sense? Let's change the charter like that. Oh, well, they vote on those things, council vote, but we live it.
Thank you. Chairperson Pena, and then Chairperson Buserith.
Thank you. Obviously, I'm in the minority at this point, but from my understanding, normally I would be in agreement with some of my colleagues, but I do not believe there is a representative here from CB6, nor is there a representative from Councilmember Hanif's office. Oh, what's up? I didn't even see you. I'm so sorry. So I take back that last statement, but I believe, and perhaps this is a question to the Parks Department, but was the $3 million allocated from the council members' I don't know the right term, but from their discretionary funding?
I don't know that.
Okay. Either way, the council member gave the money to the parks for this project, so my assumption and an inclination would be that this is something that the community wants. Living near the park, that this does need rehabilitation, so I'm in favor of approving.
Chairperson Buserith.
I just think that, just want to raise a point, colleagues. I think that I'm in complete alignment with having guardrails around encroachment on community boards' independence. But I think we need to keep a couple things in perspective. The first being is that this is a public hearing, which means that, and we got the agenda in advance. So every board could have invited their entire whomever to come to this public hearing and participate. Nobody is blocked from that. I think I understand about advocating for what we need, but we also need to use the power we have. And the power we have is to invite folks and amplify when there's public hearings at Borough Board. This is charter mandated, they're following a process. We want to change the charter, we could have gone to the Charter Revision Commission. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that we also need to kind of be smart about picking our battles. This is a playground in Prospect Park. That's all I want to say. It's not a development on anybody's block. It's a playground in a park. I think that we can fight this battle on another issue.
Thank you. Chairperson Mojica Diaz.
I respect what the city charter says, but I just have a question for Borough Hall. When you have the individuals on WebEx, are those individuals allowed to speak on behalf of this public hearing, or they're just here to observe?
If they want to speak as a member of the public for the public hearing, they can.
Thank you.
But they don't count
Well,
for.
then that diddles back what this gentleman was saying, that if the respective community boards notify their constituents, then they could have been on Zoom, or WebEx, excuse me, and they could have chimed in.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll ask the representative from Hanif's office. And Camacho, you've talked a lot today, so love you, but let's give other people a chance.
Hi, this is Brian Gross from Councilmember Shahana Hanif's office. I'm the Constituent Services Director. I'm just saying that, yes, we're in favor of building this. That's it.
Thank you. Camacho, I'm going to give you 1 minute. 1 minute.
represent the community boards and each community board that lives in that area, then what we doing here? They made a presentation. They said they didn't go to the community board. So they made the comment. They said they didn't go there. So what we doing here? Then you could have did it on your own. Did like Monty Hall and agreed to it with them. Then what we doing here for?
Thank you. Yes.
Hello. I'm representing on behalf of the chair of CB2.
1 second, Taya. We need some decorum. Chairperson Camacho, I'm sorry, but you were able to speak. Let's have some respect for other borough board members who would like to do the same. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is not adjacent to my district, but I just wanted to elevate the comment made by this woman in the white jacket. We have also reviewed many plans that involve artificial turf, and that is actually, process issues aside, I agree, you got to pick your battles. The National Institute of Health and a nonprofit called Clean Water, which was actually the nonprofit that wrote the legislation for the original Clean Water Act, have both issued extremely clear opinions that artificial turf is contributing in large part to the microplastics that are in our water bodies, which are particularly harmful to developing children. And no fault of the Parks Department, whose budget continues to be gutted every year. The response that we've always gotten in our district when we review artificial turf projects is that it is cheaper, easier for the Parks Department to install. I wonder if the proposer would consider a friendly amendment to go forward with your approval, but perhaps to reconsider the aspect that includes artificial turf.
Is that a yes? Yes. Okay. So we have a friendly amendment to approve, I'm so sorry, guys, to approve the design, the redesign and construction of the playground at Prospect Park with the consideration that Park reconsider the use of artificial turf. Do we have a second? Sure? Okay, so we have our motion, where's my paper? Amended by Pena, seconded by Ms. Brewster. Brewer? Sorry. Brewer. Okay. Are there any further discussions? I thought I saw a hand over here. No? Okay. We would like to vote.
Accepted by Pena. Go ahead. It's hard to talk. Community boards. Community board 6, 7, 8, 9, 14.
Okay. So again, it's Community Board 6, 7, 8, 9, 14 council members and Borough Hall. Community Board 6. Community Board 7. Yes. Community Board 8. Community Board 9. Community Board 14. I'm sorry? Council members. We have District 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. 50. And we're going to vote yes. I'm so tired of counting today. 7 yes, 3 no's, 5 abstentions. The vote does not pass.
Someone want to get one more motion?
Is there one more motion? You don't have to, if you want to. Chairperson Pena.
I mean, I would love a motion to reconsider because I do think that this project should move forward. However, since I voted in the affirmative, that would have to come from someone who voted in the negative.
All the way over here. I'm so sorry, I don't know your name. Edward, thank you.
So I just have a clarifying question. If this is voted down, since it's Councilmember Hanif's money, it's not like it's going to go to some other project in the park, correct? Like,
They're just going through the, you can go ahead, actually.
You may be better equipped to answer this, but no, that money will stay in this project. We'll have to find another way forward.
so what we're voting on is really just the design of it. Like the money is going to stay here. Like so I think someone said earlier that we're voting on approving $3 million. That's not what we're voting on. We're voting on the design of this.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Tamara, before you, Ms. Church is going to say something, and then, hold on, I have your name. May, right? You raised your hand, May? Okay. I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. Ms. Church.
Yeah, I think it should be clarified that what has happened here so far with these motions is not that people are voting against the project, but they're essentially voting to have the ability to have this presented to their various boards so that their boards can see and make comment before they vote on it. They want to have it at their boards. They want to have this presented to their individual boards, which they're entitled to. That wasn't the motion. No, I didn't say that was the motion. But that's what they want. Not that they're voting against the project, but that they actually. What was the point of that project? It's just a comment.
Okay, so Ms. Thompson.
Yes, hi, Tamisha
Sorry.
Thompson.
Yes, but we had a comment first, and then we can go back to point of order. So, Ms. Thompson, I apologize.
It's A-OK. If this doesn't...
I'm sorry. Again, some candor. We have a comment here. I know we all have a lot to say, but we would like to hear everyone, and it's impossible if we can't hear the mic.
Sorry. So let's say if they would like for you guys to go to their community boards to sit down with the Parks Committee and then bring it back, like how fast of a turnaround can that happen? Because I just really think that's kind of what the community boards want.
I believe that's happened in the past, and it does delay the timeline. We are not allowed to proceed to LPC or PDC, which are final approvals, and we have about a 12 to 16 month timeline given by Parks before we start missing our deadlines. So we are under some time constraints, which I believe is how the concept of coming to Borough Board has come to fruition in the past.
Okay, so, Chairperson Camacho, reluctantly, I allow you to be recognized. You need the mic. Chairperson Camacho, you need the mic.
I would like to know what part of the city charter and the mandate that they got through Parks Department that they don't have to go through the community boards in that zone. There is none.
Okay. Do we have another motion? Do we want to resurrect the motion? Do we want to pose another resolution? It's your floor. Chair Busereth.
I just have a question for the boards that surround about the process that they prefer, the ones who are voting to table. Is the process you prefer to go to the community board committee, let them vote, then have your full board vote on it before it comes to Borough Board? That's for anyone who's in that area. Because I think that gets to your question about timeline.
Chairperson Caesar.
Yes, so to answer your question, ideally, yes, just because for us in CB14, we tend to do a lot of our work in committees, and then the board members tend to trust, like, what gets reported out of the committees, right? And so, yes, ideally for us, it would be there's a parks presentation, and then upon like that parks presentation, it would then be during like if there was a call to action or some sort of vote that had to be done, then I would give that summary in my chair's report. I would make that ask, and then we would have that vote, right? And so that's the thing. Yeah. So to be clear, I definitely support the playground. I think that's great. Every community board and community district has different like percentages of green space that's available to them or not, right? The challenge here is just that although the northern part of Community District 14 touches the park, so that's why one of the voting ones, you know, geographically we're very far from that playground, and so it's just like confirming with the board, hey, this thing that we touch, and so procedurally I have to vote, but I don't know how many of you are actually going across the park diagonally to use that resource. Do you have any questions or comments or thoughts or additions about this thing? So that's where that is. So I hope I answered your question.
So I want to pose a question. Would the boards that are adjacent to Prospect Park be willing to have a joint meeting with their parks departments, their parks committees, to all hear one presentation, have their respective votes? Because to speak to the timeline, it might be hard to do each individual vote.
And I would like to add, we have a communications department that does this outreach, and they coordinate all of our community input meetings. We have a community committee that we reach out to frequently for projects that all have to do with the park. And I believe that encompasses committee groups, community groups that border every road of Prospect Park. So that is something that's happening next week. Our community committee is coordinated for next Tuesday.
At what time?
I believe it's 8 p.m., but I can confirm that for you.
Chairperson Baptiste.
Thank you. I understand absolutely what's going on. I want to be very clear. We are very supportive of Prospect Park Alliance and the idea and the concept of this. I don't think that's the issue. But there is an issue in terms of, as a board chair, I am beholden to my board to be able to represent their interests. As they haven't heard that is the concern. I think really the spirit of tabling this was just to have that opportunity to at least be able to bring back as much information as we can. So, I mean, if it's possible to have Prospect Park Alliance present, fantastic. Understanding it's the holiday season, so the scheduling gets very tight. Understanding that, that's fine. Even if we got a copy of the presentation, I can give it to the appropriate entities on my board, and we can come back with a vote. And I think that's all that was ever intended. At the very least, give us the 30 days to be able to say, listen, we gave a best effort shot, but we can vote on this in good conscience and support it in the way it needs to be supported. So with that, I guess I voted for the table, motion to table. I had voted for it, so I'm not eligible. But for those who voted, I guess whoever prevailed, if you're willing to reconsider that I can support. And I think we can discuss that, and I think it's something that we can get done. Because I don't think we're philosophically opposed to this. I think this is a great idea. I think it's good for the kids. I think that, we're in support of that, but we need to do this the right way.
So opening it up to anyone else who has not made a motion, who might want to renew a motion, because the folks who have made those motions cannot do that. Just wondering. Okay. Edward has a question. Okay, 1 second, we have a question first.
For the Parks Department, there were public meetings for input on this design where you reported out, and because this is not just coming straight from Parks to us, right? There were community meetings around this?
Before we started the design, we sat 2 afternoons in the playground and talked to a lot of families who use this on their way to schools over the weekend.
And was that the extent was that the extent of the community engagement?
We also coordinated a community input meeting that was held virtually, that was open to anybody.
Order.
Anybody
No
who would have
side
registered.
conversations, please.
And how many people were on it? Just curious.
I don't know the number.
And you wouldn't know if any of the board's members were in attendance for this virtual meeting?
I'll say a majority were parents or caretakers.
Were they invited at least? Because it sounds like from what I'm hearing, which I think is a fair assessment, if they weren't even invited to this virtual meeting, I could see why.
They are invited to next Tuesday's community committee meeting.
But why wouldn't they have been invited to the design meetings initially?
The community committee input meeting is coordinated by the Prospect Park Alliance, and the Borough Board meeting is not.
Just, again, comment seems like you could have invited them from the get-go.
I'll make a note of that.
Okay, so we have a motion, Angela, to table to next month. Do you want to clarify or make any stipulations that request maybe the presentation to be shared, or?
Yeah, can we have the presentation shared with all of the adjacent community boards and let them vote on it and bring that to the next meeting?
Okay. So we have a motion to table with a request that the Prospect Park Alliance, not allowance, sorry, thinking money, share the presentation with the community board so that way they can get a vote and come back for next month. Do we have a second? Point of order? Point of order for Chairperson Pena. Okay.
Sorry, from my understanding, the motion to approve did not pass. And in order for us to have any discussion on trying to move forward with this, again, requires us to make a motion to reconsider. So I believe that the motion should be to reconsider the approval of this project and add conditions with about postponing 30 days, giving an opportunity for individual boards to weigh in if they so choose. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
And sorry to add to the
Angela.
headache.
I'm sorry, guys. Angela, would you like to amend your motion to make it a motion to reconsider with the stipulations as described? Oh, gosh.
So I voted no. So let me try that again. So
Thank you. Sorry.
Sure, no problems. So let me state this and make sure I get it right. So I'm making a motion to reconsider this proposal for the Third Street Playground with the additional condition that the community boards that touch the park have time to share this proposal and get their feedback and votes, and then bring those, that feedback to the next Brooklyn Borough Board meeting.
We've gotten into the nooks and crannies of Robert's rules in a way that I don't ever want to again. Is this a question or a second? So we have a question on the motion from Chair Per. Okay, so second first. He was the first, yes. It was confusing, but because Angela voted yes, she couldn't make the motion, so Chairperson Caesar did. So the second is Sasha? Okay, Sasha. Now we have a question.
I just have a question on the motion. I'm a little confused. Community boards have a turnaround of 60 days because they go to their committees, then they go to the full board meetings to vote on decision-making. How would this make a difference if we're going to come back here in 30 days to vote on this?
You could.
And I also want to say, and I repeat it again, what this gentleman said. It was on the agenda. You could have notified your members. I asked a question of Borough Hall, will people on WebEx allow to speak? And they confirmed yes. I don't understand why we're debating this for 6 hours. It seems like 6. So we got to get this down. Like, I got to go.
So to your question, that is up to the boards. If the chairpersons are willing to take it to their board and try to expedite it within the 30 days so they can come and vote in December, that is up to them. That's the motion that's been made. That's what they get to vote on. They're the ones that are voting because they're the only ones who are adjacent. So, I mean, I understand in the regular process that is what ULURP is giving the community boards, but this is not in the regular course of ULURP. So it does allow us to carve out the 30 minutes, 30 days. Gosh. It's been a long meeting. So we have a motion and second. We will take our roll call vote once again, hopefully for the last time. So the motion is to reconsider. Hold on, it was a lot. The approval for the redesign and the construction, but to allow the boards 30 days to be able to reconsider, to vote on it using the presentation from Prospect Park Alliance. I try to condense that. Was that correct? Okay. It was made and seconded. Is anyone confused as to the motion? Okay. Community Board 6. Community Board 7.
Yes.
Community Board 8.
Yes.
Community Board 9. Community Board 14.
Yes.
33. 34. 35. 36. 37. 38. 39. 40. 41. 42. 43. 44. 45. 46. 47. 48. 50. And we vote yes. Please vote, please vote, please.
I might have gotten it because I have 9 yeses. missed one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 yeses. So we
Okay, 10 yeses, 0 noes, 2, and 4 abstentions. It passes. We did it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the longest.
Okay, we have a presentation. Thank you to Jolie Golden, who was here from the Census Data Dissemination. It's 10 minutes?
Yeah, just 7.
She has 10 minutes to present, and then we have just 2 more items on our agenda.
One of which is adjournment.
Okay, thank you.
There we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Jolie Golden. I'm a data dissemination specialist from the U.S. Census Bureau. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you. This has been a while coming, so we're gonna speed learn some census data about Kings County, but also learn what you can access for your local community boards. Hopefully, this is a teaser. And I will be doing a session per Carol Ann where we're going to work on a workshop for later this year that will help everyone to hopefully better pull data for their data needs assessment and for other needs across your community board. So in terms of a little bit about me, I worked as a partnership specialist during the 2020 census, and I've been in this role for 2 years. I hope many of you partnered with us in helping to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place in 2020. Yep. So a little bit of overview. Decennial census, once every decade, a head count. The American Community Survey, an annual survey that we do since 2004. The economic census, once every 5 years, ending in 2 and 7. So that data actually is going to be released pretty soon for the last economic census. But we are the largest of 13 statistical agencies in the federal government. And that decennial census has a huge role in terms of determining the distribution of $2.8 trillion in federal funds at the local, state, and federal levels. And also in terms of the representation in Congress. Does anyone remember what happened after 2020 in New York State? Louder. We lost a congressperson, right? Who was out of a job after 2020? Anyone remember? Runoff between Carolyn Maloney and Jerry Nadler, right? Jerry Nadler is still in office. So really important in terms of the American Community Survey. Did anyone remember back when in 2000 getting a really long form for the census? There used to be a long and a short form, right? You got the 8-page form or the 1-page form. In 2010 and 2020, moving forwards, just 10 questions because we instituted the American Community Survey. So a very reliable form of data collection. We send it out to 3.5 million addresses. We receive about 2.2 million back. It's random sample to every county in the nation. And then we tabulate estimates based on those responses. The data you can find in at data.census.gov. Just 1 second on race. To date, we have collected race, Hispanic, Spanish, and Latino origin separately from race. As of recently, this past summer, the Office of Management and Budget approved Statistical Policy Directive 15, which will now have all federal agencies collecting race in one question. So that Hispanic, Latino, and Spanish origin will be combined with race. And on the right, I know, I'm sorry, the slides look small from here, but you can see how that will now be one question. We'll be implementing that in the American Community Survey starting in 2027, but you will also see that on the 2030 census. We also added a Middle Eastern and North African category. In terms of geography, lots of geographies can be used to access census data. I'm going to highlight for you and community boards the public use microdata area. We have worked with city planning so that those community boards often align with public use microdata areas. So when you're looking for data specifically for your community board, that's what you're pulling. We do not have a neighborhood geography. We do not have a community geography. Yes, you can look at New York City Population Fact Finder, but I can tell you that New York City Population Fact Finder, there's usually a 6-month lag, and you cannot get nearly the depth of data that you can get on data.census.gov. It's a wonderful tool. It just doesn't give you as deep a picture. So sometimes people want to know, well, what topics, what can I find? What are those 35 topics? Can I find educational enrollment? Can I find health insurance? Can I find disability? Yes, 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 and many more. So these are just examples of what you can find in terms of data on data.census.gov. For the American Community Survey, in this little orange box, you can see there's far less data, but that data is a snapshot. It's not an estimate, it is a point-in-time head count. There's no margin of error for the decennial census data. And I thought if anyone wanted to pull out their phone and actually look quickly at some census data, there's a QR code here, or you can search in Google Census Narrative Profile. So either go to Google and do census narrative profile, or let's see if my QR code works from wherever you are. Great. So there's a way to do address lookup. Do you see where it says address? Okay. So you can enter, you want to enter your home address, you want to enter 209 Geralman Street, you can enter that. This is what it looks like on the computer screen. And when you hit enter, what you'll see after you put in your address, make sure you put your Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, you don't need to put the zip, but you need to put in Brooklyn, New York. Then you'll be able to choose whether you want to see data. Next slide. Whether you want to see the data, the responses, you can see whether you want to see it by, oh no, back again. Whether you want to see it by census tract, by zip code, tabulation area, which is our way of saying zip code, by county. So I'm encouraging you to feel free and have a look. All of the data that I'm showing you is free. My services are free. Me coming to your community board meeting, free. When you look here, you can see that you can also look by, you can have it in table format as well as in bar graph format. So it's a really nice way to be able to, you can just copy and drop this right into a presentation, into an email. This is an easy way to look up 5-year American Community Survey data. And this is where I am showing you the tabular format and the graphic format. I've shown this when you're looking at, when you want to show poverty levels in different places. Transportation's very popular at the community board level. I spent a lot of time trying to help people figure out how many people are coming into their neighborhood during the day. We can find that out too in another tool. And just a little thing to note about the fact that you will not see data for a certain year in American Community Survey estimates. Does anyone see? I've got this nice bar graph, but what's missing? Carol Ann, can you see it? Right. 2020, a very challenging year for data collection. So you can see 5-year estimates. This graph shows gross rent as a percentage of household income in Kings County. Interestingly, you can see that there is actually a decrease in terms of the percentage. So in 2017, close to 45%, 46%, close to 46% of households were paying 35% or more of their income in rent. And now in 2023, a little less than 41%. That's somewhat unusual, frankly. When I map this for the Bronx, it's pretty steady at over 50%. I have not done the data analysis to tell you whether that has to do with people of lower income moving out of the borough, et cetera, et cetera. These are the kind of maps that we can do, really easy to create a thematic map. This one shows that Kings County has, in terms of gross rent as a percentage of household income, is pretty low. In terms of the 5 boroughs, only Manhattan is lower. So which borough is the most populated in New York City? Anyone? Your borough. Your borough is the most populated. I used population estimates. So in case you were wondering, when we do those 2020 census, when we release the 2020 census numbers, every year we create population estimates to make sure that we are fairly funding, fairly distributing those $2.8 trillion. So we look at administrative records for birth, death, and migration and create population estimates. And this shows a graph of what's happening in terms of population. All of the boroughs have lost population since 2020. I'll send a link to this. This is something we can explore that's pretty cool, where we did very deep analysis of race and ethnicity data. So we released a specific file from the decennial census. It's called the DHCA file, and it allows you to look at detailed race and ethnicity down at the census tract level. It's pretty amazing. So here, I just pulled the visualization. This is a ranking in Kings County of Hispanic and Latino population based on the 2020 census. If you are from Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, or Mexico, you're in pretty good company here in the borough. Bolivia, not so much. But this gives a breakdown. If anyone ever wondered, what backgrounds the African American population is in Kings County, we can look at detailed race and ethnicity. It's pretty amazing. And just to give you a sense of percent of children enrolled in public school, I did K-12 enrollment. This took me, and granted, I know how to do advanced search on data.census.gov, but I can do this in about 2 minutes. And I can then change that thematic map so that to look at different variables within the table. It sounds technical. I'm not a statistician. I'm not a mathematician. I am not technical, but I can do this, and it's really impressive. And I'd love for you all to be able to do it as well. And then, just for fun, I mapped by census tract ambulatory disability within Kings County by census tract, and then I overlaid the community board boundaries. You can overlay different boundaries, so you could put congressional districts in there, local representative districts, et cetera. So we're not going to get a chance to go through the rest of this, but I'm just letting you know there are a lot of resources, whether they're virtual, workshops, or whether they're online, shorter data gems and webinars, and I'll happily share out the presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Well, is that it?
We have one question from Ms. Thompson.
I thought I have one. I feel like I have one final slide that's not coming up.
Thank you.
Hi.
How you doing?
Thank you for the presentation. I know, like, I guess it's every 10 years that the census is done, correct? It's every 10 years that the census is done, correct?
Every 10 years, we do the decennial census.
So I don't know if on the last census that it had like specific demographics for Latinas, especially like in the Central America. There's like a lot of Afro-Latinas, a lot of people that speak Garifuna and different languages like that. Is that being added, or was it added? I just don't remember.
In the decennial census, you could write in any race under Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin. So some of what you saw in that ranking chart that I showed, which actually had Afro-Latino at the bottom, I don't think many people wrote that in, at least in Brooklyn.
It didn't really become a thing until like a few years ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but people could write in. If you wrote in a religion, we would not tabulate it. If you wrote in any sort of race or ethnicity, then we would have tabulated that. Basically, we looked at the top 1,500 categories.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Is that your slide?
All good. And if you, that's my virtual card, and I'm happy to share my information afterwards. And I think Carol Ann, the Brooklyn Borough President's Office will forward things out. But I work with many nonprofits, local government agencies, congressional district staff, you name it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Golden. Okay, so moving on, we have other business. Are there any Borough Board members want to present any business? Edward. And then Chair Raptis.
No, Edward.
Edward first. Sorry.
I can make an announcement, right, during this?
Yes.
Okay. So Councilmember Alexa Viles and some members of the City Council are hosting a Puerto Rican Heritage Celebration on Monday, November 18th at City Hall. There's going to be music, food. I can send the flyer to the Borough Board so they can disseminate it, but you're all cordially invited. We're going to be honoring a former member of the council who unfortunately passed away, not a council member, like a staff person who was very dedicated to public service. And so we're going to be honoring a number of CBOs, some that are in the Bronx, in Manhattan, and in Brooklyn. And so again, or cordially invited, food, music, and we can celebrate a dedicated public servant.
Thank you. Chairperson Baptiste.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I wanted to put it before the Borough Board in terms of, I think we've been having a number of issues around the attendance piece, where we see that, I think, repeatedly there's a number who are not here and represented, and obviously it affects our ability to do that, to conduct the business of the borough. And I wanted to know if there was any way we could look at being able to put some kind of enforcement mechanisms around that. I'm not sure what that would look like, but if it's possible, if there can be a review of the city charter to see if there's chronic absenteeism and somebody's not representing, is there any sanction or anything that the board can do in terms of that? Or if there's any remedies so that way we can at least disallow them for a certain period of time so that way we can reduce the amount of people that are required for a quorum so we can do our business.
Thank you. Any other business? Okay, so do we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Thank you. Motion. Meeting's adjourned at 7:54 p.m.
Our motion was pretty.
Right, they're good. All right.